So apart from like the lore stuff, I do play World of Warcraft, and the mechanics and everything, and what new stuff is coming out is important to me. So I figured it would be really good to kind of go over a React video about some of the things that are maybe coming out for World of Warcraft here in the near future. Someone that I did get to meet at BlizzCon last time was Bellular, and it was really good to kind of chat things up with him a little bit. Not a big conversation, but I do rely a lot on his information. So he put out a video 3 days ago that looks really interesting. Let's go ahead and find out what was being talked about and see if we can start up a conversation about this information. Here we go.
Welcome back to the news, everyone. I was scared this episode would be dry as hell, but thankfully, WoW's EP, Holly Longdale, posted an article. It's called More World of Warcraft Experiences to Come. And zooming out, the mood is rather mixed. Like, I'm loving Plunderstorm, but many people aren't. There is some really good Season 4 news, and there's also some surprisingly underwhelming season.
I'm gonna stop it right there. There's always gonna be something that people don't like. Like, I mean, it's so funny. What gets me is when you go into Plunderstorm, and there's people in there going, I hate this mode so much. And it's like, why are you playing it then? Why are you in here? Because you're a collectible and you need to get like the quest or anything? I get that. But then to complain about something that you're doing, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. But there's always going to be something that people are going to complain about and hate. It's unfortunate, but that's just the reality that we live in. I like Plunderstorm. I think it's great. I've always been wanting a battle royale based on a game that I know how to play. I don't like first-person shooter battle royales. Fortnite's not my jam. That's kind of a different era kind of thing. But I've been playing World of Warcraft since 2005, and having a battle royale within that, I love it. It's so good. But anyways, let's continue and see what he says.
For news, but behind the scenes, 1027 Darkheart does appear to be cooking. So let's get stuck in and pay the lads' wages with today's sponsor.
All right,
where we're going to save
time.
money, be more secure, and enjoy more
dungeon
hopping. The Holly post then. So, to me, this actually looks like Holly reading the room and basically wanting to get something out there. You see, Plunderstorm is kind of specific appeal, you could say, like the PvP aspect is a total non-starter to loads of people, and I actually think that's had more of a negative impact than they maybe expected. That's because shortly after Plunderstorm dropped, both Holly and Associate Game Director Jeremy Fiesel were tweeting about there being more PvE stuff in the pipeline. So
that's the thing that gets me. It's like there's so much hate towards something that they're just trying. It's not, Plunderstorm is not like a main feature of the game, right? It's just a side content and people crying and boo-hooing, oh, my PvE, I don't get to have it. They're going to bring out something PvE related, and here it is. Like, I'm kind of excited about this because I really hope that it's some kind of like solo content, because a lot of the times I'm playing World of Warcraft by myself. I may have a friend that'll play with me, but most of my friends have abandoned World of Warcraft. They don't play anymore, and it sucks because that's a game I'm really going to be playing probably forever as long as the servers are up. So I'm sure they thought about this. They said, hey, let's make this PvP battle royale thing for everybody. But at the same time, they were thinking, well, we know that the backlash is going to be all the PvEers are going to be upset, so we should have something for them later on. So I think it was a good time to release Plunderstorm and then go, hey, we got something else in the works. We just can't put everything out there at the same time, So yeah, the PvEers are going to get something for sure.
I think they know there was concerns, and this is them basically trying to get something out there official. Let's go to what Holly said then. So, quote, Dragonflight Season 4 is en route as testing begins in PTR, and we'll have more news to share soon on the next experiment we have up our sleeves. We can't wait to share with you the many things the team have been hard at work on. So,
yeah, Season 4, I think the only thing I'd be interested in is maybe going back and doing Mythic Plus with my buddy Jay and his wife. That's about it, because for me, it's early achievement hunting season, and that's why I'm working on Insane in the Membrane right now. I'm working on Lore Master at the same time. So it's really time to get into the let's go make some gold, let's go get achievements that we've been wanting to get for such a long time. Let's continue working on Tales of Azeroth as well before we start heading into the War Within, which we're really going to jump into the lore on that one because that's Chris Metz and stuff, and it's really, really good.
Oh, what could she mean? Well, there's a few things. As her post went live, a new build of patch 10.2.7 was pushed to WoW Dev 3. They use WoW Dev 3 for internal testing, and if this PvE experiment is anything like Plunderstorm, it won't be on PTR, but will have extensive internal playtesting. So I think it could be that. Now, as for...
Yeah, because you don't want to, ruin the surprise. That's what they did for Plunderstorm. There was no, beta testing for people to try, it was like, boom, here it is. This is the big announcement we have. Go play this, and it was super fun. It would be smart to do the same thing for PvE. Just make it a big surprise for people. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Hopefully, it would be fun, but let's find out. This is what I'm excited about, though. Vampire Survivors mode. Like, if you guys haven't played Vampire Survivors, it is an addicting, simple game. It is so much fun, especially if you have like a Steam Deck. It's one of the best games on Steam Deck for sure.
Or the Vampire Survivors mode string that we found back in December in a test build, and then the Pandemonium feature of 10.2.7, well, what could these be? Could they be the same thing? Let's break it down. So the full title of Pandemonium is Time Running Pandemonium, and that kind of suggested that it was a time-walking adjacent thing, which would make you think it's in the regular game. But we then had this, 10.2.5 Pandaria Time Walking Season. This was a storyline that, again, appeared in a test build, but we didn't really know what it meant. I mean, could they somehow have retooled the Pandaria campaign and then maybe done something with gear and scaling to make it work? Like, they could have, but would that be fun?
Wait, this is the first time I've heard about this. Now, I didn't play a lot of Mists of Pandaria. That was my I'm done with WoW kind of era. But I came back at the very end. But so I'd be very, very interested in this. I've never heard of this before. This is the first time I've heard of this. But he said, like, Mists of Pandaria campaign time walking. Like this kind of does it for me. I'm kind of excited. I want to know more about this.
I'm not necessarily sure. But then time running gear appeared, right? Look at these. These are time running boots that when you wear them give you a roll ability.
Oh.
Again, that almost makes me think of building a character in a roguelite, right?
Oh, okay. I mean, Torghast kind of sucked. Some people liked it, but it wasn't, just wasn't there. This is kind of cool. And is there a cooldown for the roll, a short distance kind of use? I'm not too sure, but I'm kind of excited about this. This is cool.
Now, though, we've got no idea what any of this stuff means or if the Vampire Survivors thing is anything more than just a leftover of internal game jam like idea and data that somehow made it into the build. Now, looking at Plunderstorm, I mean, you can totally see how a Vampire Survivors mode could work,
Right.
Limited weapon choices, abilities, gear slots, gear that grants abilities, the action-based combat. That all does fit. And the idea of a...
And honestly, everything about Plunderstorm is great for people who are not huge into Arena for PvP, because with Arena, you have to have so many add-ons to the game that it's almost like... It's a bit overwhelming. I like Arena, but when I have to have like 9 different add-ons to the game, this is something else we can talk about later, is are there too many add-ons in the game? Is it ruining the experience of World of Warcraft? Because in Arena, you have to have all these add-ons to know what ability is on cooldown for your with your enemies. So like if a rogue comes up to you and he uses Kidney Shot, you have to know what is the cooldown of his Kidney Shot, and you can use it with Omnibar. But if you don't have that and you're in Arena and he uses it, you really don't know when his cooldown is up, so you don't know if a rogue is coming at you to hit you or if he's coming at you to Kidney Shot you. And then you could, counter it with parry if you're a warrior or something like that. That's the thing that's so great about Plunderstorm, is that it's a simplified version of PvP. So people who have never been really good at PvP with like Arena, they can get into Plunderstorm, and it's very basic. There's no add-ons. There's like a handful of abilities you can use, and it's a lot of fun. So it's something that popped in my mind. That's why I love it so much.
PvE Vampire Survivors inspired mode with power progression and a renown track launched as a marketing beat and an experiment that does actually match what they've just done with Plunderstorm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kind of hard to know. Next then, I've got a quickie in the whole subscriber number story that I brought you last week. Okay, TLDR, Jonathan Haidt gave a talk at GDC. I looked at his slides. I then looked at a bunch of the old Activision Blizzard earning reports and public statements they had made. I basically meshed this stuff together and tried to come up with a number of what we could estimate current World of Warcraft subscribers to be. It was very interesting. At the time, I basically said, this is a rough estimate. It's not true. I'm not claiming it's true, but there is the subscriber data from the official, subscriber trends, I should say, from their official slide, and that is the thing that we know is true.
I guess you gotta pull your subscriber data in certain places, right? Because they used to report how many subscribers were with World of Warcraft, and then they pulled that in. Oh, was it Legion or even before that? No, I think it was WoD. They said we're gonna stop recording or telling people how many people we have subscribed to the game. So like, where these people are getting their data from is, it's very particular, and maybe they're getting their data from like certain like this slide and everything like that. I don't know. Who knows?
What got interesting, though, is Jez Corden of Windows Central then reached out to his sources. If you're not aware, he has plenty of sources at Activision Blizzard. He's posted a fair few leaks before that have turned out to be true. Now, he reached out to his sources, and his sources told him that my calculations were roughly accurate. So I don't know if it's 8 million, I don't know if it's 6 million, I don't know how inaccurate, but, well, it's whatever roughly means. Again, the whole point there, though, was fragmentation, because yes, World of Warcraft is at Legion-like levels, and yes, that does appear to be in and around 7 million subscribers, but there's no way you'll feel that when you log in, because we're fragmented. There is Wrath Classic, which is obviously in a bit of a downturn right now. There's Season of Discovery, that's pretty damn big, and there is Modern. So what that means, WoW overall, pretty much on par with Legion.
Yeah, we split up our communities. Like, it was, you could play, back in Legion, you played retail. That was it. That's all we had. You know, it's like, well, depending on this graph, you know, it's like back in the day we played Legion, everyone was on there, and then Battle for Azeroth took kind of a dump, as you can see in that chart right there, and then Classic came out in 2019, and that's when people were like, oh, finally I can go back to my nostalgic, you know, binge MMO days, so we're gonna go back and do that. So you split a huge community. There's people who are like, I'm done with retail, and for a moment I was done with retail too, but there's a lot of people who are like, I'm done with retail, I don't like the format, I like the way it was, and that started a whole brand new community. So he's right, we are fragmented as a community. We may have the subscribers, but when you go into Dragonflight right now and you want to queue up for like solo shuffle or even 3v3 high-end arena, which I'm not, but that is going to be, you know, a problem because there's not many people playing retail, so you're going to be waiting in the queue forever, and that's just a waste of time on your part, so it just kind of sucks.
However, Modern WoW versus Legion, I mean, that's the more apples-to-apples comparison. Well, yeah, obviously, Modern WoW is it's likely very behind Legion, which in a way means that right now WoW is fairly healthy, but it does have a lot of room to grow, and that means that on the modern game, as much as Dragonflight has been good, obviously it is not the time for complacency. It is the time to go hard and to keep going hard and to earn those players back.
Yeah, and I think that's where they're really going to bank on the War Within. For me, it's having Chris Metzen back. Having Chris Metzen back and, you know, showing us what kind of stuff has been cooking in his head for the past, few years. He's been gone 5 years, 6 years. So that makes me excited as far as a lore perspective, like what kind of stories we're going to get that are Metzen written. The guy's, he's a genius. Not everyone's perfect, but he's a genius, and it's just going to be good. So I think they're really banking off that, and also breaking down hopefully he talks about this, maybe he will or not, but Ian Hasegosa was talking about breaking down the barriers that they had before. So, like, Warbands is going to be huge. You can just tap into everyone's banks. And I have an idea, I can talk about that. Actually, I'll just talk about it right now. But, like, my idea is if you go back and you build certain time-walking builds, I mean, you can get gear that scales. Like, let's say you get gear from WoD, but then time-walking is for Burning Crusade. You get the gear from WoD that's super powerful, it'll scale down to the highest item level for Burning Crusade, and you can go in there and blast away the DPS charts because you're just so powerful. But like having characters that you make that hold on to that set of gear, so when you want to go change it out, you just grab it off that character from your the linked banks and everything like that. It's just a super awesome system. I can't wait to experiment with that and see how that's going to go.
Next, then, Season 4. Which I don't really think is poised to do that. The Season 4 talk does start with good news, though. So, the prospect of the original 8 Dragonflight dungeons surely did spook people, and I get why. I remember what those were like at launch. It was pretty rough, and I remember just how many hot fixes it took to get those in a decent state. Well, it turns out they're kind of cooking for Season 4. Unpopular abilities are gone, visuals are improved, and checkpoints have even been added. Well, a checkpoint. Nice. And to get a feel for that, let's just use the Halls of Infusion as an example. So take the Watcher fight, right? Titanic Fist now has a casting visual. Power Overload has a rim visual, and Power Field actually grows to its full size. On Kanjin, the Ice Boulders actually have rim visuals now, so it's more clear when you're playing. The Gale Slinger Trash no longer uses Wing Buffet or Thunderstorm. So essentially you can see they've just went and removed a bunch of annoying stuff, and they've tried to make the visuals more clear. Now,
I barely did any of the dungeons in Dragonflight. There was a time when I wasn't playing a lot of Dragonflight. So I really have nothing to say, like, where are my ideas of, like, oh, that's good or anything. I'm just like, okay, sounds great. And if I really wanted to do, like, a Mythic Plus push, this would probably be the season to do it. It's the last one, you know, but I'm also just doing a lot of achievements and stuff like that right now as well.
Tallying it up across all of the dungeons, there are 17 removed abilities, there are 6 major visual clarity improvements, and beyond that, I think one of the larger changes is just that across the board, we are seeing many casts be less frequent. Many things do less damage, like the dwarves in Uldaman, their Fiery Surge has had its damage be halved. Sarka's Curse of the Dragon Horde has been reworked, the Burning Chains can now be used once and they stun all enemies in them and make them take increased damage by 50%. So that's just an example. For another one, take Umbral Skull's Oppressive Miasma is gone in Mythic, the Vault timer is actually a minute longer, and for Halls of Infusion, they've added a checkpoint after the Frog Boss. Because man, that run back really sucked.
Don't know much about it.
It's extremely clear, right? They have learned a lot of lessons over the last while, and those efforts have paid off. In this video that we published 2 days ago, you can basically see the Season 3 Mythic Plus numbers and how they dwarf what came before. And that's because of easier scaling, new gearing, rebalanced tuning, and just a lot of lessons actually being applied. And that's made it by far WoW's most successful Mythic Plus season in recent memory. So
this might be the time to get into it, because if they made all these fixes, and it's going to be much more of an enjoyable, you know, thing. I really seriously might do this. I might, because I was talking to my buddy Jay, and he was like, we could do a Mythic Plus run, push. And I'm like, that might be something I'd be interested in doing. So this would probably be the time to do it.
So the Season 4 dungeons do look promising enough, and of course Mythic 0 is essentially going to be an affixless Mythic 10 in terms of difficulty.
Right.
Heroic is going to be the same as a current day Mythic 0.
That's pretty cool.
Because of that, I think we might see a bit of a participation increase, at the very least.
Yeah, because that was the one thing I didn't like about having to get into Mythic. So you had to run you had to run Heroics to get the gear to run Mythic, so it's just, you feel like it was a waste of time, because the gear you were getting for dungeons was just to get you into Mythic. So it was just another wall that you had to climb over, and once you climbed it, you could just forget about it. So it's kind of a waste of time if you think about it that way. So them trying to fix this makes the experience much better and more enjoyable. Like, I'm actually increasing power instead of trying to hurdle a wall. You know what I'm saying? That's how it feels.
It is testing what the new dungeon system for the War Within is going to be. That's pretty interesting, unlike the situation with raids where, man, people are not thrilled at all. So, there are currently no differences in the Season 4 raids other than item level. The season is called Awakened, but I don't really know what's waking up. We don't seem to have new mechanics, there don't seem to be any new twists. It's weird, and it's strange compared to the love the dungeons are getting. Then the weekly rotation, where basically each week one raid is scaled to the Awakened item level and drops Season 4 gear. Well, that wasn't popular with Fated, and it's returning. And that means you'll be progging a different raid every week, which is a pain in the ass. I mean, it's weird. Like, Shadowlands Faded wasn't amazing, but at least it was throwing in some new mechanics to try and spice up the bosses. But I don't know, man. It's weird. I think Blizzard just needs to get on this one and actually let people know what to expect.
I haven't been raiding at all either, but maybe they just ran out of time. You know, maybe they're like, we need to focus on the dungeons. Dungeons are much more popular. People are running those more than raids because you need, you know, who knows. But maybe that's just something they didn't get around to, and they'll fix it more a little bit in the War Within. Who knows? I don't know. But the dungeon stuff, that does sound pretty interesting to me, as far as just a gamer, not just like a lore enthusiast or anything like that, but just running dungeons would be nice.
The frustration, of course, began on Twitter, because that's where it's fastest to post, but of course it spilled into Twitch. There's videos like this one by Max and YouTube, and I think the community's just kind of thinking, blah, why? Now, for me, the rotation is fine. We'll just clear it in Heroic. But if you're, say, a Mythic Raider, that weekly rotation is a pain in the ass. I'd say this. Blizzard, I think the obvious and good thing would be to add an old raid, right? And just have it always be active. I mean, imagine Antorus, Throne of Thunder, Nighthold, Blackrock Foundry, one of those old raid tiers that people thought was awesome. Like, if you just scale that up, I mean, people would think it would be really cool. It's just weird to see raiding get this treatment, while dungeons, I mean, at least got a little more. But anyway, stars and rewards. So if you don't know what they are, dinars were basically just a currency the Blizzard added in Season 4 of Shadowlands, and now we're getting a new version called Antique Bronze Bullions. So these are in Season 4. They are earned presumably by doing raids, and they can be spent on bits of gear with a bit of a twist. So each raid has got a vendor, but there's a fourth vendor who sells cosmetics. Here's how the system works. Items from the gear vendors cost 2 bullions, as does the Scale of Awakening, which will boost a legendary from Season 3 to Season 4. But then the cosmetic vendor, it sells weapon appearances at the cost of 1 bullion, as well as the Shadowlands Season 4 Slime Cat mount, which I didn't really expect, but I didn't get it back then, so I guess that's kind of useful.
Cool.
Now, there's no word on acquisition for these bullions, but the tooltip does say max stack 12. Of course, the Shadowlands dinars were limited, so we're kind of thinking you'll be able to get a total of 12 of them.
This is cool. This is actually good. A lot of people are like, if it's nothing that it boosts my power, then I don't want it. And that's completely respectable. But when it comes down to just enjoying it and the collectability of things, cosmetics can have a really big effect in the game. I used to not think that, but then the more you play and you start thinking, oh, I want my character to look this way, there's a sense of caring about cosmetics to an extent, right? When you're going, oh, I love the way my character looks. Is that for self gratification, or are you trying to impress somebody? You know, that's the thing. Like, look what I got for a transmog or something like that. Either way, like transmogs, cosmetics and stuff, they can be fun if you just embrace them, right? They can be fun if you just embrace them and learn to kind of be a collector in a small, way or something like that. Then they actually become quite important to you, and this is cool. Like when they go, oh, we have more cosmetics for you. Great, bring them on. I'm not going to be more powerful from it, but it's something I can collect, and especially if it's like limited time kind of thing, like the Mage Tower, you're probably going to want to get it because later on down the road you can say, oh, I regret not, going off and getting those transmogs or whatever.
Per character. And I've got to be real, if I was Blizzard, I would probably try to make these a bit more repeatable, and I'd maybe put in a bind on account element so that people could try out new characters a bit faster. It just seems that's the healthy thing to do in the run-up to a new expansion. But anyway, here...
It makes me think, if Blizzard stopped working so much on transmogs and cosmetics, do you think people who didn't care about that would sooner or later say, man, World of Warcraft is really boring because I can't make my character look any different than he already is? You think they would start complaining about not having different cosmetics and transmogs when they have plenty of them? People complain. They're like, I don't care about this. It's like when you have something in surplus, they don't care. But when you don't have it, then it's like people just find something to complain about all the time. I don't know. That possibly could happen, but Blizzard's doing the right thing by pushing out the content and having us, chase things and have, more things to go and collect and stuff like that. And that's a good thing.
Gearing-wise, the Dinar gear has a new keyword, Awakened, and can be upgraded 12 times up to the Season 4 max item level of 535.
Nice.
These are done using Season 4 crests and flight stones. So just 12 upgrades. I mean, it's far more simple than our gear that currently, goes through Adventurer, Explorer, Veteran, Hero, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is any sort of test for a simplification, because if regular gear was just fully upgradable, then you would find yourself as a heroic raider, say, doing a bunch of LFR just to try to get more shots at the loot table, and I think Blizzard knows that would be a humongous chore. Continuing on with changes then, we've got a new weekly quest called Last Hurrah. Basically, it gives you a crafting spark and a box of upgrade materials and a piece of normal mode gear. This rotates, and basically it seems to rotate with the zones associated with the current Awakened raid.
I've thought about actually jumping back into daily quests just to get some gold. I wouldn't mind saving up a lot of gold in order to try my hand at getting the dinosaur mount with the auction. I really wish I would have had that mount. Now it's on the black market. It's going to start I think it starts at 500,000 gold and it just scales up from there. I would like to get that. So I've thought about doing some daily quests and stuff like that. Maybe run around with my buddy Jay and we can do that every now and then. That'd be kind of cool. So hearing this is good. If they're kicking out new quests and stuff like that, that's perfectly fine.
And with that, I'm almost done. There's only a few more things you need to know for Season 4. So legendaries will drop. They will drop at the Season 4 item level, but as I said, if you already have a legendary, you can upgrade it to a Season 4 item level using bullions.
I think this was one of the biggest downfalls of Legion. And a lot of people can disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. I would recommend that if you have something to say in the comment about this, by all means, go for it. I liked how legendary items in the game were legendary. Like getting Thunder. Why am I blanking on the name? Thunder Fury. Like that took me years to get both bindings, and then go out and collect all the mats and everything to actually make Thunder Fury. And it was important and special to me, but it was outdated. And that's fine. But having legendary items that are in the game that are hard to get are great. Like I have the Warglaives of Azeroth from Illidan. It took me like 5 years to get them. But then once they started like pushing out like you can have 1 or 2 or whatever legendary items in Legion, and they're just randomly dropped, they didn't feel legendary to me anymore. It just didn't. It felt like it was just a way to make you feel a little bit more special instead of super, super, super special. Because I remember back in the day, if you saw someone like especially in Burning Crusade, if you saw someone walking around with Warglaives of Azeroth, you would look at that person as like untouchable. Like they were the most powerful person in the game, And now you don't really see that. You're just like, oh, everyone's gotten legendary, everyone's special. There's no uniqueness in the player, base anymore, because everyone's gonna have something. They're not legendary anymore. It's just another level of item that doesn't really scream I'm special because everyone else has it, right? That's just my thoughts on it.
And from there, you can then upgrade its item level using crests and flight stones. So no RNG in the upgrade is good, but so far there are no changes on the acquisition of the legendaries themselves.
I blame
For
Destiny.
other things, the end bosses do drop Omni tokens that can be turned into tier, and then there's a new seasonal mastery achievement that gives you an awakened mark of mastery, which can be converted into a piece of heroic tier gear. And again, that is for doing either a full clear of any of the heroic awakened raids, a Mythic Plus rating of 2000, or PvP rating of 1600. And as for what we think, well, big picture, Bullions seem good, but the raids are definitely underwhelming. Dungeons are good, but not exciting. There's not a new big reason to go and play.
Exciting for me because I'll probably do them.
Anyway, at least the game's reward systems will support that. There's also some Season 4 achievements. If you do each Awakened raid in Normal, you'll get the Voyaging Wilderling. On Heroic, you'll get the Awakened title. Keystone Master gives you a infinite Dragonflight colored Armadon thing. And for Mythic, you'll unlock raid portals, which, is neat. I suppose you could use those if you're farming appearances in like 4 years' time or 3 years' time. Anyway, overall, Season 4, look, it's weak, but it's also not the full picture. 10.2.7 also brings the Harbinger questline for Xalatath, Troll and Draenei Heritage Armor, and Pandemonium, which may or may not be the new PvE experiment. I mean, I think it might be, but by that time, we'll actually be well into the War Within's alpha. We'll almost be into the beta. That's according to the roadmap. So
that's one thing I do want to get into. I want to see if I can get into the War Within beta. Obviously alpha. I think alpha is usually internal, right? It's usually internal test based. I think some people have been in alpha. I'm not really too sure. I know beta is usually like invite, to a lot of people. If I can get into the beta, we're gonna jump on the quest lore for that really, really fast. And usually they don't change much of that. So I'd like to jump on that and start going, hey, here's the quest lore for War Within, even though it hasn't come out yet. That'd be really, really cool.
Yeah, it's not a fresh raid tier. I do think it's underwhelming. But the other things are there. Whether they're value to you or not, though, will depend. Personally, for me, they're actually a good value proposition. I'm interested in those things. But if you're primarily a raider or primarily a Mythic Pluser, I mean, yeah, a full new season would be ideal. Okay, what else? Let's destroy the rest of the news. Plunderstorm has seen some updates, which is big
good
for Plunderstorm junkies like me. Abilities have been tuned. They have refined the reward design and enemy placement as well, with plunder drops increasing by 50% in solo matches and a higher mob density on the right-hand side of the map. A player called Solar Power has also reached world first 1 million plunder, which is a feat of strength achievement that you can go for. And also, the Crater Crash is this weekend. I think it's actually the day this video goes live. Maybe with the Crater Clash done, we'll see them start to feel like they can.
Yeah, we saw that
thing. Kind of hard to know.
But anyway, got screwed over.
In Season of Discovery,
really
honestly, they're cooking pretty damn hard. I loved just watching their video. Basically, Phase 3 is bringing people to Sunken Temple. That looks pretty sick. And there's a new PvE event called Nightmare Incursions and an Emerald Warden.
Season of Discovery is a time dump, and I've got a lot going on right now. I'm doing a production of Titanic the musical at the theater I work at, and I'm bringing back Tales of Azeroth, and I need to work on that. It's Season of Discovery is slow and it's a time dump. I'd love to maybe jump into it, but it's just Not right now. That's definitely the thing. It's just not right now. And it's not as much of Warcraft Ascension as I thought it'd be. It's just not. Warcraft Ascension, they've done it right. It's really fast paced and it's really good if you guys haven't played it. But they're getting it, but there's not fully there yet with Season of Discovery.
Wrap to go along with them. All pretty neat. Seems they'll be active at those Dream Portal sites, but again, since it's Season of Discovery, thankfully, we have no specifics. Finally then, the April trading post is just okay. There's a shark hat, that's neat, but once again, the completion reward is a pet. To me, that just kind of feels low value. That being said, the Plunderstorm tie-in is seeing loads of returning pirate-themed rewards, including the treasure chest back and the Dreadwake mount. Thing is, though, just those 2 rewards costs a combined 1,500 tender, which is more than what you get in a month. Unless, of course, you do the Plunderstorm Renown and get yourself another 750 tenders. But still, I think that, broadly speaking, that store is overpriced. To me, it just doesn't feel an amazing value. I think it's kind of losing their shine. They've got to do something to spice that up.
Okay.
But anyway, next, check out this video to learn about the wild things going on with Mythic Plus, and check back very soon on the channel for a big old lore video. Have a great weekend.
Hey, we like lore, right? Yeah. Okay. So, all in all, Season 4, I'm not really impressed. The Pandemonium thing sounds really cool. I want to know more about that, or maybe they'll just keep it as a surprise, which I'm perfectly fine with. That's fine. Plunderstorm was kind of a surprise. We had hintings that it could be Battle Royale, and it ended up being a Battle Royale, which is cool. But I like the idea. That's probably the only thing I'm really excited about from Season 4, is just maybe a new PvE mode that's solo-based, which would be really, really cool. Everything else in Dragonflight in the game is just kind of like, meh, to me. And I think that's why I started doing achievement hunting season a bit early and going for picking up Insane in the Membrane, and also Lore Master, kind of working on that. Just casual, like, on my own time gaming kind of stuff where you just grind and nobody really wants to watch you do that. But overall, everything else in Season 4 just doesn't look all that great or fun. It's just a new way of building up gear, and I think we've seen better from Blizzard, but maybe they're just trying to like kill out the expansion and get ready for the War Within when we can really see some really, really good changes. They still have a lot of work to do, right? So anyways, the lore is, in Dragonflight, I know we've had a lot of backlash about like the main story and stuff like that. I'm currently reading the novel, which is the War of the Scaleborn, and it's actually really, really good. I might do a review on it once I'm done. A little late. It's been out for a while, but it's really, really good for those of you who have not read the book. Other than that, yeah, I think this is a really good video to kind of catch up on and see where WoW is heading. It doesn't look all that great for Season 4, but maybe they're just trying to burn it through and then we can get to the next expansion, But I do like these little side things they're coming out with. We are a fragmented WoW community now with all these different games, but we're still having fun with WoW, and I think that's the most important part. So, if you guys like this kind of content, these review, react videos, let me know in the comments. We can definitely do more of this, because apart from us as a lore community, we still play the game, right? And I think these are really, really important to know about what's coming, what kind of information we can expect, or what kind of new designs or mechanics and stuff we can see from Blizzard down the road. So if you guys like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video so that other people can see it and get the information out. If you guys don't follow Bellular, or if you just want to see what's going on at this channel, definitely like the video so we can get that. It can hit the algorithm and people can start catching up and seeing what's going on over here. So thanks again for watching, and I'm going to get back to work on the next Tales of Azeroth video, which is going to be the rest of the Silverpine Forest area, and I'll catch you guys later. Take care and have a great, fantastic rest of your day.